Thanks for joining us today on Lincoln Fire and Rescue. I'm your host, Dale Johnson. Today, a conversation about fire prevention. The week of October 4th through the 10th is or was, depending on when you are watching our program here today, National Fire Prevention Week. By the time we're through today, you will be able to identify locations in your home where it's important to have a working smoke alarm and an appreciation of the importance of working smoke alarms in all sleeping areas. And we have some technology to tell you about too, and it's really surprising. So we'll have the experts here from LFR tell you about it. Wouldn't be a show without the firefighters. So Inspector Rick Campos is here, and so is Captain Jeff Hatcher. Jeff, good to have you in. Rick, thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Dale.
Almost 40 years of combined experience between you two, so you know everything.
Not quite.
In case I ask you a question like that. But good, thank you very much for both coming in, okay?
Glad to be here.
The focus of this year's National Fire Prevention Campaign is on teaching people how important a working smoke alarm is in every area of your home where someone is sleeping. And Rick, the key word is working. Doesn't do you any good if it doesn't have a decent battery in it.
Exactly. So just like your car does not run or work without gasoline, your smoke detector does not work without a battery or plugged in. So those are the main thing we need to focus on. The first of all is making sure you've got a working smoke detector. Exactly right, Dale.
The electrical, the ones you plug in, have a battery backup?
They do, yep. They do. In case the power goes out, the smoke detector can still function on that battery, and it's important that that battery is upkept just as like the ones that don't have electricity to them.
Remodeling, new construction, that'd be a perfect time to install those
Right.
hardwired alarms. I noticed a smoke alarm, not smoke detector. Somewhere along the way in our timeline, it's changed. I still find myself going back to the smoke detector.
I think there's some interchangeable language there, and besides whatever you call them, what they do is they're a first line defense on detecting fires. So, exactly.
Jeff, one theme of this year's Fire Prevention Week campaign is hear the beep where you sleep. You need to first determine where people sleep, and it isn't just always in the bedroom.
Right. Yeah. So how did you sleep last night, Dale? Did you hear?
I slept well.
Did you hear the thunder?
No.
Exactly.
Didn't hear the thunder. Didn't
Have
hear
you
the
ever?
storm.
Somebody's like, "How'd you sleep last night? Did you hear the thunder, or did you hear that dog bark?" Well, no, I didn't hear that. And so that raises the question. We can sleep through things that we shouldn't be sleeping through, and that's the whole idea of the campaign this year is to be able to hear that smoke alarm. And so we want to see smoke alarms in every bedroom or every sleeping area where people are sleeping. And so that's the message that the National Fire wants to give out this year. So have a working smoke alarm in every sleeping area.
And it isn't necessarily just the bed. I know people with back problems. The sofa is the best place for them to sleep, and so they might sleep in the den or in an office.
We see this in houses that have been converted, or maybe there's people sleeping in what used to be a dining room or what used to be a living room. Where we have a converted home, and so you need a smoke alarm. You should be able to, when you lay your head down on the pillow, you should be able to pick your head up off the pillow, look around, and there should be a smoke alarm within eyesight. And if there's not, you run the risk of not waking up if there's a fire.
The timing is good on this discussion because I did this just a matter of days ago and discovered I had a couple of wireless smoke alarms, which we'll talk about. But as I'm putting them up, wondering where they should go, my first question is, Rick, do they go on the ceiling or do they go on the wall?
They can go at either place. Typically, I'm going to say 99% of the time, you see them on the ceiling. If you put them on the ceiling, just keep in mind that we want to keep them away from either an air vent or a ceiling fan, so where those currents aren't going to interfere with the smoke reaching the smoke detector. If you put them on the ceiling, also we should stay at least 4 inches away from the wall. And that's so that the smoke reaches the detector. Otherwise, the smoke kind of rolls over and it would miss it.
See, both of you have seen smoke do that. As I'm putting up the detector, I'm thinking how maybe the smoke is just going to creep the way water would just sort of wick around a gutter, so to speak, and not knowing, I think I put mine too close to the wall. Mounted it on the ceiling, maybe put it too close to the wall.
Yeah. If you put it on the wall, there are guidelines to where it should go, and it's at least 4 inches down from the ceiling, but no more than 12 inches down. If you're really confused, the instructions actually have got good pictograms on where to put it. Give a fire station a call. We can help you with that. And by all means, we want those installed properly so they function properly.
I mentioned wireless. They talk to each other.
Right.
I have one on the main floor, Jeff, one on the second floor.
Not
all
right.
right?
Not all smoke alarms talk to each other, but that's the preferred technology is the interconnected smoke alarms, because if the one in the basement goes off, you're sleeping upstairs, your alarm's going to go off. And so that's the preferred technology. A lot of the older homes just have single station smoke alarms where they're not interconnected, and so you could have a fire in the basement, for example, and not know it for quite some time until the smoke reaches an alarm in your bedroom, say on the second floor. So if you're in the market for smoke alarms, definitely the interconnected technology is what to look for.
Let's encourage people to test it out first.
Right.
Make sure that it will stretch from either the basement to the first floor or first floor to second floor.
Yeah, if you're looking for that wireless capability. The other thing, you talked about the wireless is fairly new, but something that's even newer that I've been seeing is you could have a detector send a text message to your phone, to your smartphone, and it will even specify and call out which detector is going off: bedroom, living room, den. And so we've come a long ways, and that's available.
Viewers are seeing some of that technology
Sure,
right now.
yeah,
some
and so that's some of the things that you can see out there. I know I sleep with my smartphone right next to the bed, so that's another way to achieve the wireless technology.
So if you are a heavy sleeper and you sleep through thunderstorms, your smartphone can be your secondary line of communication.
It could be, or if you're at work and you've got children at home after school, or it's just a way to monitor your house. Sure.
Cost of some of these smoke alarms, Jeff, what are we looking at for price?
Typically $20, $25, $30 is what you see in the hardware stores for something like that.
Also, as I was installing the smoke alarms, I wondered how many I should have and where they should be located.
Right.
We mentioned sleeping areas, and Jeff, you mentioned kitchen. Should they be located in the bedrooms, outside on a landing, for example? Upstairs we have a landing, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. I have one in the landing.
Right.
Is that best place for it?
So the best place is to have them in your bedroom. or
Actually
your-
in the room?
In the room, and outside of every sleeping area. So if it's a typical 3-bedroom home, a 1-level 3-bedroom home would have 3 bedrooms. We would like to see a smoke alarm in every bedroom, and one right outside in the hallway, and then one on every level. So if that home was a single-story home, then we would want at least one alarm in the basement. Now, if someone's sleeping in the basement, then we would want one in that area where they're sleeping, plus one in the room where they're sleeping.
And in the kitchen of that single level, in the bedrooms, in the hallway, and then in the kitchen.
Kitchens become a nuisance, and that's one of the issues that we face with smoke alarms, is that they become a nuisance. And I mean, we've all had the toast. I burned my toast and the alarm went off, or I took a shower and I opened the door to the bathroom and that alarm went off again, And so a few years ago, the United States Fire Administration put out this plea to the industry, saying we want a smarter alarm. We want alarms that give out less false alarms. And so I believe January of this year, the United States Fire Administration put out their report that they've developed this technology, and it's called LDA. I don't know a whole lot about it, honestly. Rick probably knows more than I do, but it's called linear discriminant analysis, and it takes the same technology that we see in our smoke alarms that we've had for years, since the late 70s, early 80s, when we saw smoke alarms become a common household item. It uses our same technology, which is photoelectric and ionization, but it adds a second level of detection, either CO or a heat detection, and then it uses a micro controller to like talk to each other. Is this a real fire? Is this toast, or is this just the shower? You know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hope is, at least my hope is that we'll get fewer false alarms. And so, because people dismantle their alarms, they're just like, well, that thing went off again. I'm going to take the battery out, and that's what we don't want to see. You know, those alarms are there to protect us and to be there when it is a real fire, and when it's not, and we take the batteries out, we really undermine our own protection.
Is the technology sophisticated enough? I know they include COs and smoke detectors in the same device. Is that a good idea, or you're both shaking your head? You don't see the necessity to have two separate ones?
I think that a couple of things are coming into play here. We first of all have some new building codes and fire codes. So if you're going to remodel your house and you come down and get a building permit, it's going to require that you put a carbon monoxide detector up, even if you have an all-electric house and you have an attached garage. So what they're trying to do is, if you may have carbon monoxide from your vehicle, and so they want to detect that. Instead of having a carbon monoxide detector, a smoke detector, I think it's a great idea that they've combined them into one, and you just have one device, and it takes care of two sources of potential danger.
I like it too. In fact, there's a study out that showed that the CO alarm was actually alarming sooner than the photoelectric or the ionization, and it was actually sounding the alarm in a fire, detecting CO from the fire. So it's good to have the backup, the 2 or 3 technologies built into it. Or, you know, most of the alarms you find in homes, I'd say 90% of the alarms that you find in the American home is the ionization technology. And the United States Fire Administration recommends that you have at least 2 technologies, so photoelectric and ionization. So most are ionization. They recommend that you have at least one other alarm in your home that's the other technology, which typically would be photoelectric. And that's
what's the difference?
Well, ionization alarms will typically detect a fire that's fast burning quicker, whereas a photoelectric alarm has shown to detect fires that are slower burning quicker. And so, you know, whether the fire is started from an accelerant and you got a lot of free burning flames, it's a fast burning fire, or it started from a cigarette butt on a couch and it's a slow smoldering building fire. So those 2 different technologies have shown, you know, different success rates in which one goes off first. So that's why they recommend having both technologies.
And why do they recommend you replace them in 10 years? What's in this device that goes bad in 10 years?
Well, they've again, everything's based off of studies. The fire department is great at being reactive or proactive, and you know, so what happens is they figured that they've done studies where the detectors, the reliability basically just falls off the older it gets. And so we want to keep that detector fresh, new. They've established a guideline of 10 years. What you're seeing now is if you go to your big box store and buy a detector, you don't even have to change the battery. It's a sealed battery. It's good for 10 years. So when the battery says time to change me, that means time to change everything. Just take the detector down, throw it away, and get a new one. That way we're going to ensure that the detector is at its peak performance.
Both of you have witnessed over the years the speed of a fire. It's amazing. We're talking 1 to 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes after it's detected that a person would have. So secondarily to the alarm, you need to know how you're getting out of your house.
The intensity and speed of fire has increased dramatically over I've been in the fire service for 30 years almost, and the intensity of a fire has increased and the speed of it quite a bit.
Why is that?
It's the synthetics that we see inside of our homes. You know, we used to have wood and cotton and natural fibers and natural elements in our homes. Now it's a lot of synthetics in our couches and everything, and those are like accelerants. And so that's why it's even more important to have these alarms in every area where we're at. Not just, it used to be just in the hallway where we suggested having one smoke alarm in the hallway near every bedroom. So we want to get that early detection, early awareness, and to get out as soon as possible.
Practice.
Right. I mean, let's go back to the grade school. You know, we had fire drills. You would practice getting out of the building, going to the nearest exit, getting out quickly. Do the same thing at your house. We're grown-ups now and do the same thing. When the smoke detector sounds, get out of the house and then, you know, go to your meeting place, have the rest of your family members there, then figure out what happened. You know, oh, hey, burnt toast again, or what have you. But the first thing we should do is have an escape plan, practice that, and then follow it. And those are the keys, you know, part of the keys to staying alive, you know, if you have a fire in your structure.
This is so strange. I thought exactly how I would get out of my upstairs bedroom last night as I'm falling asleep, thinking about coming to talk to you, because I would get out the hallway window, climb onto the roof, walk over to the side where the gazebo is, and I would jump on the top of the gazebo.
Yeah.
Maybe break a leg, but at least I'm alive.
Good.
You got to have a plan. don't
At
you?
least I'm alive.
You got a plan.
You mentioned the common meeting place.
Right.
That's important. When we lived in South Lincoln, we had a tree in the back. Everybody meets at the tree. If your escape route takes you in that area, and in the front, you go across the street. Make
Right.
sure you're visible.
As a fire department, nothing is a better day for us when we roll up on a house fire. I mean, and the owner can run out to the street and meet us there, and tell us everyone's out. I mean, that makes our job obviously a lot better, a lot easier. Putting out a fire when we know everyone's out. So rescue is our top priority.
How about fire extinguishers? Jeff and Rick, how many do you have? Where should they be?
Yeah.
I had a buddy that he must have had 7 of them.
Sure.
All over the place.
You know, I personally have one, and I keep it in an area where I can grab it on the way out the door. The thing about fire extinguishers is you need to have it so that when you run towards, you don't have to run towards the fire to run past the fire to get the extinguisher. You know, a good place for it is to have it by the door, and so, you know, by the kitchen door is my recommendation for a home. But I don't know what Rick would have to say about
Yeah,
that.
you know, there's hazard areas, your garage, workshop, and just make sure that you're familiar with how to use it. Like Jeff said, there's an exit to your back if you're going to use it. And remember, a fire extinguisher is meant to put a small fire out, a fire the size of a wastebasket. So if you're getting much bigger than that, you want to make sure that the fire department's on their way. In case you cannot extinguish the fire fully, that you've got a backup. The fire department's there to extinguish it. And you know, don't be afraid to use it, because remember that all big fires start small. So when you extinguish that small fire, you really prevented a big fire from happening. And remember, they're only meant to put a fire out the size of a wastebasket, small fire. Fire doubles every 20 seconds in size, so we don't have much time before it gets beyond the capability of that extinguisher.
Extinguishers dispense quickly too, don't they? Matter of seconds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't just think you can stand there and hose it down.
No.
You
Right.
have a few seconds.
That's right. If you have a house fire or a car fire, you don't see the firefighters getting off the fire engine with an extinguisher, you know, because they even realize that this is beyond that capability. We need to bring out some big equipment here. And so they are effective. There's many different types. They're all used the same way. The pass method, the instructions are on the front. There's pictograms. But just remember, they have their limitations.
And have them checked, because they can go bad or weaken to the point where they're no good. We've been talking about just single-family dwellings. Landlords own multiple pieces of property, and you take it upon yourself, LFR, to train landlords. Talk about that program.
Yeah. Oh, you know, we're so lucky here in town to be working with a public-private partnership, and Jeff and I have both been on a committee that deals and focuses on landlords so they can take the training out to their tenants. And it's put on through Safe Kids, through the health department, and Safe Kids is a great organization that's teamed up and offered a lot of administrative forethought for this. There's a flyer up. This meeting has already passed on the 8th here, but there are 3 typically that are planned a year. It's free training. There are some lunches provided. There's some, if you want to say, door prizes. Everyone gets smoke detectors that attend. And it's just a great way to learn about how to protect your property as a landlord. And this is where the rubber meets the road type workshop. You've got landlords talking to landlords. You can find out from housing inspectors, fire inspectors, what they're looking for to make your property safe. Renters insurance, people there that talk about that, how to make your property smoke-free. It's a wonderful opportunity, and it's free. So if you can call Safe Kids or Paul Davis Restorations, they can tell you how to get hooked up with that workshop.
In case you missed the flyer, it's October 8th. So depending on how long our conversation airs and how quickly here at 5 City TV, it may still be coming up, or it may have already been held.
Yeah, and we've got workshops planned for next year already. So again, if you missed this one, October 8th, call the Safe Kids or Paul Davis Restoration, and they can give you the next workshop that comes up so you can attend.
All right, so there's your homework. Do some research. Figure out how many alarms you need, what types you want, whether the wireless technology, the smart alerts, and the size. I'm used to about a 4, 5, 6-inch diameter device. They make much smaller ones.
They
now.
do. I was just at a big box store the other day, and we saw an extinguisher. I'm sorry, a smoke detector that was about the size of my car key, and it meets all the requirements, and it's got good reviews on it, great reviews. It's a photoelectric detector. It is small, but packs some punch there. It works really well.
And the same specs.
Right,
There,
yeah.
there it is. The same
Yeah.
specs. It lasts for 10 years.
10 years.
Battery included.
Yeah. And it's, it's a little more concealed, a smaller, sleek detector, but it does the job. It's a single station. It's only going to sound in that room. It's not connected with the other rooms, but it's a detector that's available, and the size of it is pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so do your research on that. Look up, again, how many you need, where you want to place them. Do you want to go hardwire? Maybe you're doing some remodeling. Maybe you're building brand new.
Right.
And any questions, can they get a hold of LFR?
Lincoln Fire, yeah, call any fire station. In fact, if you need a smoke alarm, can't afford your own, we provide those for free. So every fire truck in town has 3 or 4 smoke alarms in the glove box ready to install. And
But you've had campaigns where you've given away hundreds and
Yes,
hundreds.
right.
It's probably up to the thousands.
yeah,
by now.
correct. We target areas of the city where we have the most fire activity, and so yes, we do campaigns, but we also provide them on an ongoing basis through just any fire truck in your neighborhood. So call any fire station and we can get you set up if you need one.
That's good advice. All right. There's your homework. Do some research on smoke alarms. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Jeff Hatcher, Captain Hatcher, thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Inspector Campos, Rick,
Thank
thanks
you,
a lot
Dale.
for coming in.
Bet.
Thanks, everybody, for being here today on 5 City TV.